y'all, it's your girl Elise and welcome to my kitchen. On this episode, it's dedicated to, you know what time it is, right? Valentine's Day. I'm going to show you how to woo your boo with my favorite dish. That's right, filet mignon over velvety sweet potato mousse with wild mushrooms and a red wine jus. So let's get started. First, you want to grab your yams. You want to make sure that they're gently washed and you want to put them in the oven at 350. These are going to take the longest to cook. Next, you want to heat up your pan, right? Because a good steak, you need heat. You don't want to broil it, you want to get a nice caramelization on it. So what I prefer to use is Lodge brand grill pan. You get that on the heat and you want to let it sit. It would probably help to turn it on. Bam! Just like that, we got fire, y'all. So we got our pan on, we're gonna get it nice and hot. Another thing about steak is you wanna make sure that it is room temperature. You wanna try to find a nice center cut filet that has nice marbling throughout it. And you wanna keep it at room temperature. Trust me when I tell you. So our pan is heating up. We have our vegetables going. We're also making Swiss chard. So I'm gonna show you how to get that started. We're gonna get our pan on. While our pan is warming up, we're gonna start and make our wild mushrooms. So we got a nice little olive oil in the pan. Gonna let that heat up. Here I have a mixture of wild mushrooms. There's shiitake in there, oyster, cremini. If you don't like mushrooms and you're weird like that, you can substitute onions, whatever you like, peppers, but I prefer the wild mushrooms. So our pan is heating up and we're gonna add the wild mushrooms to the pan. What type of person don't like mushrooms? I know. People say they're fungus. We're gonna season it with salt and pepper. And what I love to put in wild mushrooms is herbs. Let's go get some from my garden. I think we'll use some nice fresh thyme. You're gonna cut that from the top there. Smell that. We're gonna add that to the pan. While the mushrooms are working, we're gonna prepare our chard. First, you wanna make sure that it's properly washed and cut it up. There's several types of chard. I prefer red chard. So we have that prepped, and in with the chard, we're gonna have some shallots. So we have that diced and ready. Let's check on our mushrooms. We're just gonna saute that. Give it a chance to cook down a bit. We're gonna add some butter. Yes, I said butter. Everybody knows that I love healthy food, but this is Valentine's Day. We have our mushrooms working over here with our fresh thyme, salt, pepper, butter, and olive oil. Our pan is nice and hot, so it's time to get our steak going. So I have my filet here. I'm gonna use a little bit of oil, rub it down with some herbs. There we go. And everyone always asks me, what is my favorite thing to season steak with? I ain't gonna lie to y'all, it's Lowry's. Y'all better get you some Lowry's. If you don't have Lowry's in your cabinet, I'll put this on everything. So we're gonna season our steak. And you wanna season it generously. Red meat, you wanna season really, really well. Here we go. Some pepper. Let's check on our mushrooms here. Looks like they're just about ready. I'm gonna have these sit here while we cook our steak. Now, with all this flavor in the pan, you wanna go ahead and get your chard started. So you put that right back on the fire. So you wanna go into the pan with a little bit of olive oil.
Thank you.
To the pan for the chard, you're gonna add shallots. Now, a lot of people ask me, why shallots? because it saves you time in the kitchen, people. Shallots is the little baby of onion and garlic. It's like if they had a baby. So instead of cutting up 2 things, I only have to cut up 1. So our shallots are nicely wilted. We're gonna add our chard, let it do its thing. It's smelling good in here too, y'all. So you're gonna reduce the heat on that and allow that to cook down and the flavors to marry. Now it's time for the steak. Got your pan nice and hot. You got your steak nice and oiled and seasoned. We're gonna go ahead and press that into the pan. Now your goal is not to cook it all the way through in this pan. However, you want to get a nice caramelization on there and then throw it in the oven. So we have our chard working over here and it's wilting down very nicely. When it gets to this point, you want to add a little salt and pepper. Why? Because the salt will pull the moisture out and help it to wilt down even further. A little salt. Pinch of pepper. While that's finishing up, our steak is working. Let's check on our yams. They smell just about done. Now it's time to make that velvety sweet potato puree. So we're going to start with our food processor. Our yams are nice and soft. You're going to scoop them into the blender here. We're going to use a little bit of softened butter, salted of course. Chard is almost there. We're going to turn our steak. To get the nice grill marks on it, you just want to turn it 1/4 of a turn. Press it down so that it's even. Our chard is nicely wilted. We can turn the heat down and hold that so it stays nice and warm. To our blender, we're going to add a little heavy cream. So we have in there our yams, our butter, our cream. Let's add a little cinnamon. And I prefer Saigon cinnamon. It's much sweeter and spicier. Add a little bit of that in there. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. You want that balance. And I don't think the yams need any sugar. I think they're naturally sweet. And it'll add a nice sweet element to our dish. So turn it on. Yeah, baby. So, and you want it to be a nice velvety consistency. You can go ahead and add a little bit more cream. You don't want it to be overly thick, but not overly thin. That seems like it'll be just about right. Now it's time to flip our steak. Look at those beautiful grill marks. Just because it's winter, people, don't mean you can't have you some grilled steak. So our steak is just about ready and we're going to finish it up. So we're going to add a pat of butter to the pan. Some fresh herbs. I'm going to go with thyme. And we're going to let that melt and we're going to spoon it over the steak. Also, we're going to add some red wine. Pinot Noir is nice because it pairs nicely. You don't want to waste a bottle of wine, right? Yes. Going to add a splash of that to our pan. Hear that sizzle? And this is what's going to make our sauce. Sit that there for later. Gonna give our pan a swirl. We're just gonna spoon that over our steak here. We're gonna let our steak rest and plate up our food. So we have our sweet potato mousse here. Nice and hot. Gonna add a little bit of that to the plate. Gonna make a nice little bed. We're gonna add our chard. Right on top for our shallots. Gonna add our steak. Look at that beautiful filet mignon. We're gonna add our wild mushrooms. And last but not least, our delicious, flavorful pan jus. Yes, look at that. Whoop, there it is, baby. My dinner for two to woo your boo. Stay tuned. So now it's time for my favorite part, to enjoy the fruits of your labor with your boo thing. Let's see what this is hitting for. Look at that. Nice, medium, perfect. But how's it taste though? So we get a little bit of that. A little bit of our puree. Make sure we got a little wild mushroom going on. It's so good. Oh God. A little bit of Pinot Noir. Watch that joint down. That is the bomb. I'm gonna tell you what. This is everything. Thanks for tuning in. See you at the next episode.